Hi, listeners. Welcome to the She Speaks Life podcast, a weekly encouragement where we share our God stories. I'm your host, Jayme Elizabeth, and I am so glad you are spending time with us today to listen. Hi, friends. I'm so glad you showed up today. I'm excited to have author Karen Stacy for this week's episode. Just in time for Christmas, Karen wrote and published a wonderful Christmas children's book called Seeing Christmas and has a great God story to share with us of what led her to write this book. Hi, Karen, and welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Jayme, thank you. It's great to be here.
So I couldn't help but see that we had some things in common. Like we love to go on jogs and our coffee lattes. And I know you mentioned birds, and that is something that holds a special place in my heart as well. I feel like whenever I see one, I feel like God's telling me have faith, and I have a long testimony. Yeah, a long testimony to share with that. But do you have a little short one to share with us?
Yes. I mean, mine could be long too, but basically I had a retreat and had this kind of memory of my husband seeing a bird hit a window and going out and bringing this bird back to life. And I kind of felt like at that retreat, that's what God was doing for me. And he kind of gave me this name of little bird while I was there. So I have had this connection with birds ever since then and feel like they kind of speak to me whenever I'm questioning something. Here comes a bird to encourage me and say, where God says to me through the bird, I'm here, you're going to be fine, everything's fine. And I have bird decorations all over my house and things like that, just to remind me God's with me. Yeah. Everything's going to be all right.
I love that. We share that in common. So good.
Oh, I'll have to hear your story someday.
I know. It's kind of long, so I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah.
So share with us a little more about yourself and how this book became a published and written product.
All right. Well, I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm married. I've been married 37 years. I have 4 sons and 3 daughter-in-laws and 8 grandchildren. And it was probably about 4 years ago, I was feeling like everybody was saying Christmas was so materialistic. And I just didn't feel that way. I felt like I see Jesus in all of it. I see Jesus in the tree. I see him in the lights. I see him in the gifts. I see him everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to express to my family, those children, I had 6 grandchildren at the time, or actually less than that way back then, since it was 4 years ago. I started trying to write a poem for them. And my intention was to share this poem with them on Christmas morning, because I've never been really good at expressing myself like in front of a group of people. And I have used poetry in a way in the past to share my thoughts. And so I thought, I'm just going to write in this poem, and started writing the poem, and it never came together that year. And then it started it again the next Christmas, and it never came together. And I just felt like I still kept feeling like I just want to say something to them, but I couldn't gather my thoughts. So finally, a couple of years ago, I ended up writing this poem, and it all came together. And I mean, it felt like it was at the last minute, but I definitely felt like God wanted me to share that poem with my family on Christmas morning. And so I did. And I actually would love to share it with your audience the way that I shared it with them on Christmas morning, if that would be okay. Great. I'll do that, and then I'll go into a little bit more of how it went from there.
Poetry is something that comes easy to you to be able to express yourself, because that's the opposite of most people, right?
Really?
Most people have a hard time writing poetry.
Yeah. And it's the ways I had used it before were for 2 of my sons' rehearsal dinners. The groom's parents usually want to give a toast, and I felt like I can't say a toast in front of everyone. It's just, I'm too scared. So I thought, if I write a poem and express what I'm feeling, then I won't be so scared. I can just read my poem.
Oh, what a gift.
That's what I did. Well, it feels like a gift to me, because it's easier to me than standing in front of a group and trying to say something, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this one in particular took such a long time to write, but I knew it when it was done. Like I knew this is it. This is what I want to say. So I'll just read it to you just the
Sounds
way I
good.
read it to them. And
Perfect.
it's called Seeing Christmas. And it goes like this. It's that time of year. Are you ready to see? Come take a look at Christmas with me. The tree with all of the ornaments, tradition and memories brings so much enjoyment. The toys, we can hardly wait to open them up and play all day. The lights, they sparkle and shine, filling the room with beauty divine. Our family, we're all here together, no matter the distance or roughest of weather. The gifts, it's very exciting. They're wrapped up all pretty and oh so inviting. The food, it tastes just like bliss. We are so very blessed to be eating like this. The village, it stands all aglow, lit up and covered in a blanket of snow. The stockings, we almost forgot. Sweet little gifts that still mean a lot. But wait, is this what Christmas is all about? Some say no, but I want to shout. Yes, it is, so perfectly. And here is what I hope you'll see. The tree is Jesus, full of memories and love. Our history together, it all comes from above. The toys are Jesus because they bring joy to sweet little girls and cute little boys. The lights are Jesus. They remind us he shines in our hearts with peace throughout all of time. Our family is Jesus. Now that is for sure. We're here for each other with patience that endures. The gifts are Jesus, all given in kindness, for he's renewed our hearts and healed all our blindness. The food is Jesus. We taste his goodness in each little bite. There is flavor and fullness. The village is Jesus, lit up from inside, a gentle reminder. Within us, he abides. The stockings are Jesus, but he never forgets, full of faithfulness always, ever ready to bless. So you see, it's all Jesus. He's everywhere. If you look, you will find him. So be fully aware. So
I
that is what I read to them.
I just had a
Aww.
smile from ear to ear just reading that and just knowing how
Oh,
many hearts you're gonna light up for the kids at Christmas time,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
me being able to help pass that along to people that I know and our listeners who have kids. And it's just
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
great, unique Christmas book.
Yeah, I was able to incorporate all the fruits of the spirit into the story. And I didn't have that at the beginning when I was trying to write it. And I feel like that's where God really said, you know what, Jesus is the fruits of the spirit. And the fruits of the spirit, that's what you're experiencing when you're feeling like you see Jesus in the tree. I do. And it's that love that's there and the memories and the love. And so I just connect all of that. I feel like it's as much of a book for adults as it is for children. Because when I read it, I'm reading it to all my adult children, my grandchildren too, but the oldest at the time was only, 8 years old. But anyway, I think it's a great way to teach children about the fruits of the spirit and about how you can see Jesus in everything. I mean, you can even take this beyond just Christmas time. If you just look for fruits of the spirit, wherever you see them in your life, wherever you see them in other people, you're really seeing Jesus, because that's where the fruits come from, him.
Yeah, so good. I love how you hid that throughout the pages. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that it is all about the fruit of the spirit. So good.
Yeah, when I read that to them on Christmas morning, that's how it ended up becoming a book. I was never intending to make this a book. It never even crossed my mind. I thought I've never been wanted to be an author. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, I've always wanted to be an author." I never wanted to be an author. Never thought about being an author. But when I read it to them, they're the ones who said, "Mom, you need to make that a book. Don't put it on Facebook or anything. Somebody else will go make it a book, and you need to make that a book." I'm like, "I
Yeah.
do," and so it was these adult children that were really pushing me to do it. And I thought, okay, I would do this if I could get a great illustrator. And who I really wanted was who I ended up getting, which was Joel Spoon-Tanis. He's from Holland, Michigan, not too far from me. I have a lot of his artwork in my home. I love his art. It's very whimsical, very bright, colorful, a lot of childlike imagery, stuff like that. And I asked him that right afterwards if he was willing to do that for me. And it took him, I mean, he was so busy, and he said, if you can wait. And so I waited and waited and waited. I waited over a year. He kept saying, if you can wait. So I waited over a year for an answer from him. And I kept thinking, okay,
Oh,
God,
wow.
maybe I'm not supposed to use him. But he just kept, reminding me, patience, Karen, that's one of the fruits of the Spirit. You're having to kind of live what you're teaching in this book, the patience part. And anyway, he ended up agreeing that next year, and then it took another year. So the whole process of being an author and all of that has been quite a experience of just walking with God, having him show me one step at a time what to do next. Never known anything about it. I've certainly learned a lot, and certainly grown a lot from it.
Love the illustration. It's just beautiful. I mean, it's so well
Oh, I do
done. I mean,
too. I think he did such
yeah.
an amazing job. We ended up, in the book is pictured my family at the time. All the people in the image is basically a scene in my home. He came into my home and he kind of staged us with all of my decorations, my tree, my mantle, all the things that my stockings and all that kind of stuff. He worked with it and embellished it quite a bit too, but I think he just did a fantastic job with it. In picture of my family, you will notice that he portrayed us as every different race that there is. There I end up being Mexican. But my one daughter-in-law, who is in fact African American woman, so she is African American in the picture. And then my other daughter-in-law, she's Armenian, and so she looks Armenian or ethnic, I guess you would
Mm-hmm.
say, in the picture. And so then he made my husband look Chinese, and he made just all different races. All
Yeah.
different skin colors and different ethnicities is what you can see in there, which
Yeah.
I think is absolutely beautiful, because the kingdom of God looks like that.
Right.
The kingdom of God is every race. And I wanted this to be universally a book that everyone can read and see the kingdom of God in it. So,
Mm.
and see their family, portrayed in it. So I was pretty happy with how that all turned out too. I don't know if you noticed that last grand scene is what all of the rest of the pictures are taken from. They're all zoom ins to that last scene. Could you pick that up when you read it?
Oh,
Um, because I
no.
don't know if everybody would notice that or not. The illustrations all come from one giant painting Joel made for me that I have now in my home framed. That last scene is this
Yes. I see it now.
beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous painting. Yeah, and so the rest of it we took, because it's called Seeing Christmas. I love that kind of play on those words too, that you're zooming into something and then there's some zoom outs to things. So it has that kind of visual there too, where you're zooming into things and zooming out to things, and it's kind of how you look at things. That's the whole point, is how are you seeing it, and what
Yes.
difference does that make? That is
Yeah.
my message, is it depends on how you're looking at it. You can see it as materialistic if that's how you look at it, or you can see Jesus in it. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to look for the fruits of the Spirit, and you can see him and appreciate him, and remember that we're celebrating him and his birth and coming to this world to bring us the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah, I think it's all about perspective, and it's so easy to get
Mm-hmm.
tangled up in, the shopping and having to host
Yep.
parties or having to attend
Right.
everything.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
love how your talent and a burden kind of collided. It was kind of like you saw the
Oh,
burden
that's a cool way to
was,
look at it.
yeah, it was discouragement that people couldn't see Jesus and it seemed to
Yeah.
be more materialistic, and your talent with
Yeah.
poetry and putting poems together, and it just collided and you birthed this book out of it, and that's just so amazing. I love it.
Oh, I like that way of looking at it. That's
Yeah.
great.
And so have you been
Mm.
able to go and do readings and see kids'
Last
faces
year,
light up?
yes,
Oh,
last year. Oh my goodness, that was a whole nother whirlwind. Part of the whole thing was doing the book launch was last Christmas. So it released last Christmas, and I had a number of different things where I actually did have to get up in front of a bunch of people. One of them was as many as, I think it was around 300 people. It was at a camp event,
mm-hmm.
and got to read the book and got to talk to the kids about the fruits of the Spirit and Jesus, and kind of tested them on, when you're seeing love, who are you seeing? And when you see the the lights and all of that. Who are you seeing? And it was so precious. I mean, I just loved it. And I did a lot of different, I sell in Grand Rapids, I have a lot of different local stores that are selling it. So I would go do book signings at the different little stores, which was so great. And
Yeah.
I had a friend's Christmas dinner that I got to, all the guests at the dinner, the book, and got to read it to everyone. And it was just wonderful. It was scary to me, but it was wonderful at the same
Yeah.
time. Just
Yeah.
thinking about getting the message out there to so many different people. And I decided not to sell it on Amazon. I kind of, that year, I felt like God was saying, start local, support local. And so that's what I did. I just had all these different stores, and my mom is in Alabama and she works at a Christmas shop. So her store sells it there. And then my son and daughter-in-law live in Texas, and I got to take it to a store there. And it was very, very well received in all these different stores. So
Yeah.
that was a fun, kind of a fun way to do, to support people with local businesses. And then I have my own website too. So I sold it that way too, where people could get it directly from me on the
That's
website.
awesome. I'm glad you had that heart for the
Yeah.
small businesses, because I'm sure
Yes.
some of us have gone to smaller boutique stores, and I mean, I'm guilty of this, and looking on my phone to see if I can find it cheaper on Amazon. But
Exactly.
yeah,
That's exactly why I didn't do it that way. And that's what I kind of told the stores.
yeah,
I said, I'm not doing it that way. You will not be competing with Amazon.
right. So they love that, I'm sure.
And I just felt like that I needed to do that for them.
Mhm.
And it was hard to do because I felt like all of the author learning things. I was part of this author learning center, and it was encouraging you to put your book on Amazon. And I mean,
Right.
that's what everybody would encourage you to do, is have your book on Amazon. And
Sure.
even when I would say I don't have Amazon, I had that question: why aren't you on Amazon? It's such a broad audience. But I just felt like that's not the way I was going to do it that year. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Right now I have it as an ebook on Amazon, but I'm still just selling it through my website personally, because I love the idea of it coming from my hands to your home and kind of sending a blessing along with it as it goes, and just that personal part of it. That's how
Mhm.
I've been envisioning it. And so far that's how I'm keeping it.
Yeah, so good. Well, I love that you're
Mhm.
putting in the true meaning of Christmas. And I love how when us moms, or even if you're not a mom, you're reading a book, and sometimes we attend it for the person that we're reading it to, but really we're getting ministered as well. So,
Absolutely. I agree. Yes. Yep. I think the messages that come through children's books are so simple. And I think that's what we need, is
mhm.
things to be simplified and, I don't know, not complicated, because I don't know,
Yeah.
life's too complicating already, I guess. And I've always loved children's books for that reason. I've given them as gifts, like for graduation gifts. I think people give them a lot too, just to get that simple message across. Kind of
Mhm.
speaks to your heart real directly. So
Yeah.
I hope that's what seeing Christmas does, people.
Yeah, I've heard from a well-known author, speaker, Christian woman that writes a lot of Bible studies. And she
Hmm.
had mentioned years ago, she went to a Christian bookstore, and she said she
Mm.
sat in the children's section and she just started
Aw.
reading the Bible stories and just having
Aw.
it simplified for her, because she was so
Yes.
confused, and it would make better sense to her. So I loved hearing that.
Yep. That's great. Love, 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 love children's books. So, and now
Yeah.
I have 8 grandchildren, and I'm getting to read to them all over again with
Oh, that's so good.
well, people can connect with me at Little Bird Press on Instagram and Little Bird Press on Facebook. And then my website is littlebirdpress.com. So it's all
I
Little
love
Bird
it.
Press. If you're
So good.
interested, I'd love to hear from any of you.
Yeah, definitely the feedback, the testimonies. I'm sure they fill your heart up.
Mm,
And this will be aired
absolutely.
on Friday after Thanksgiving. So for those that get their Christmas
Wonderful.
list going early, go ahead
Yep.
and
Yep.
jump on her site and get these books, because it's absolutely
It's,
adorable and it's so unique
aw,
as
thanks.
well. So,
Yeah. And it's definitely a gift quality book. It's a 10 by
mhm.
10 hardcover.
Yeah.
and it has a page on it that you can, it's a to and from page, and it has a little letter to the reader, so it explains my story a little bit and how the story started too. So
So good. Well, thanks,
well,
Karen, for
thank you,
coming on here.
Jayme. So fun. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. I trust that God has encouraged you through this message. For more information on this ministry and to access free downloads, please visit my website at jaymeelizabeth.com and sign up. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Jayme Elizabeth She Speaks Life. That's JAYME Elizabeth She Speaks Life. Until next time, my friends, I pray God reveals himself through your own life story.